This is TalkSPORT 2.
I always had a very good relationship with the owner. This season, not so well.
His future is unclear.
Nuno Espirito Santo sacked by Nottingham Forest. Ange is ready to accept the job, ready to return to the Premier League.
Tottenham end the season 17th in the Premier League.
I'll tell you one thing, I'm not a clown. I never will be, mate.
It's glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur. The Europa League is theirs. He told you, he always wins something in his second season.
Whether he's going to have learnt lessons from Tottenham, he'll have the same challenges. Nottingham Forest are looking upwards. Marinakis is no easy person to work for.
I don't get how you can have Ange, because the style of football is so fundamentally different.
Do you have to change it a bit to win?
Does that suit Forest with their counter-attack method of play? That's my question mark with Ange.
I'll leave you with this. All the best television series, Season 3 is better than Season 2.
That still brings a smile to my face when I hear that. It's Sam Ellard, it's Flex. On TalkSport 2 with you until 5. Is that a thing, by the way? Is that a well-known fact in the movie or series industry that series
number 3 is better?
I mean, is that a well-known fact?
I feel like it might not be universally.
No,
everybody agrees with that.
Just the thing that he just.
But it works. It works for what he said.
It was a good soundbite, wasn't it?
It was brilliant.
It was.
Don't care.
I don't think he did research.
I'm thinking of like
before.
Breaking Bad, and I don't remember like season 3 being like the
much
best.
better than season 2.
Same with Game of Thrones and that.
I hope somebody asked him that in his press conference. That's the key thing we need
if
to
Max
get
is there,
down
don't
to.
ask him that, because you probably get thrown out.
Yeah, don't lead with that, Max. So let's now talk all things Ange Postecoglou. I'm sure you know the news by now. Nuno Espirito Santo was sacked as Forest manager. Big Ange Postecoglou is returning to the Premier League. So we've heard the Nottingham Forest take on all this. I'm intrigued to know how Spurs fans feel about all this, because Spurs have had Ange for 2 seasons. There was some great in there, the Europa League triumph, and there was some bad in there as well. Spurs finishing 17th last season. Let's check in with a friend of the show, Chris Cowlin from the Spurs Chat podcast. Afternoon, Chris. How are you?
Sam Flex, good afternoon to you. Very well, thank you. Hope you're well.
Yeah, good man. Thank you for asking.
Nice one, Chris.
Chris, just your initial reaction. How did you feel when you heard the news that your former manager is back and back with Nottingham Forest?
To be honest, I wasn't surprised that he's been appointed as Nottingham Forest boss, because as soon as Nuno come out and said that his relationship wasn't the same with Marinakis, I think everyone put 2 and 2 together that Ange Postecoglou would be taken over the City ground. But talking about Ange Postecoglou himself, every single person has doubted this guy in his career, and he has always delivered. He has won trophies everywhere he's gone. Of course, he got his first European break at a top club, with Spurs a couple of years ago. There was a lot of doubters then, and he delivered. He's delivered everywhere he's gone. He said that he wins, always in his second season, and a lot of journalists, a lot of fans, a lot of the people in the media, a lot of ex-players, etc., doubted him, but he delivered. He jeopardised his own job to win the Europa League for Spurs. A lot of Spurs fans wanted season 3. It didn't happen.
Did you?
Of course, Spurs have now moved on. To be honest, when someone delivers a European trophy and he's rubbing shoulders with Bill Nicholson and Keith Birkinshaw, he's become the third guy in our club history to win a European trophy. I felt that he had enough credit in the bank to have season 3.
If I was to play devil's advocate, Chris, could you also say, a guy that finished 17th in the Premier League, does he deserve? And I appreciate what you said about, towards the end he was prioritising the Europa League, but towards apart from the first few months of his first season, it was 18 months of pretty turgid and sort of watching the same thing in terms of the high line being exposed and losing games of football.
Yeah, that's very true. And I could talk to you and debate you for hours on this. The fan base were very mixed. They are still very mixed about Ange Postecoglou. Some people love and adore the guy. Some people thought it was the best decision that Daniel Levy parted ways with the manager. But yeah, 22 league defeats, that was pretty hard. I was at all of those. It was very, very hard to take those matches. But I would go back to say that he probably needs more experienced players in transfer windows, but that's a whole new conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like Ange Postecoglou in the Premier League. You know, the Premier League needs characters. Ange Postecoglou, you guys on TalkSport will be talking about him week in, week out as Nottingham Forest manager, because his press conferences were great. He's very, very, exactly. He's very, very entertaining. And I've warned Nottingham Forest fans now, the pragmatism under Nuno Espirito Santo is going to be it's going to be very, very, very different. Very different indeed.
Chris, on that, actually, with the adaptation, because is there any way that Ange might have taken some lessons from his time at Spurs? Because as a United fan, looking in on your Europa League running, you know, when I was sort of doing a bit of maths, thinking, right, we're probably going to meet Spurs in this final, etc., I saw a lot of a difference in terms of actually how you won it in the end, and especially in the final, sitting in that San Mamés Stadium. I went, they've scored, Spurs have shut up shop. I've never seen it. Like, look how resolute they are. It was a different tactic he deployed, and sort of you look at Bodo Glimt, you look at Eintracht Frankfurt as well. Was it 1-0 penalty as well? Like, do you think he can maybe bring some of that, or was that just because it was firefighting? He'd made a decision, like you said, to sacrifice his own principles just for that trophy, and he's going to go back to Ange now? Or do you think some of that actually could be in this new look Ange at Forest, where he actually might change things?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. When you talk about that Frankfurt game, I feel like that was a big turning point when we won that game away. That was really important for us. And of course, Bodo Glimt, you know, a lot of people said, you know, it's going to be a very difficult game for Spurs. And then when we won it, everyone was like, oh, well, it's only a Norwegian team. You know, they should have won that anyway. But yeah, we played very, very differently in these games. And like you've said, I feel like Ange could adapt in certain games, and there was that question from a lot of Spurs fans saying, you know, why doesn't he adapt in the Premier League? Because he just simply didn't want to change. He did change actually at Everton away. He changed the formation completely, and you know, we could have been about 6-0 down at half time, so that didn't go too well.
And didn't he change away at Anfield as well once, when but then you couldn't get out your half? I think it was like 4-0. I think
exactly.
He changed then as well.
We've had some very, very strange and very entertaining games, but it's not always been entertaining for us. It's been entertaining for the neutral. But I do believe that he has had that summer to reflect on Premier League football. And like I said, I'm so glad to see him back in the Premier League, because he is a real character. He'll be delighted to get back. And like I said, Nottingham Forest fans, just, you know, strap in, brace yourselves, because you're in for a ride.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. What Chris is saying. He's not saying strap in because you've got the right man to take you forward. He's going, just be ready.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be different. Crazy. It's going to be different. But like I said, you know, the guy is a born winner. Whether you like him, whether you don't, you know, he always delivers and he always wins. They're in the Europa League, so, you know, who knows what's going to happen.
Back to back. Can I ask you a real sort of technical question here? You know, he always says he wins things in his second season. Do you think this does genuinely count as his first full season, even though he's been in from just 3 games? Like, next season is going to be his second season, right? Not the season after, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, this will be the first season.
Nah, this is his first
I tell you
season.
what.
No, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tell you what, he's starting at Arsenal away. So, you know, regardless of whatever Spurs fans feel about Ange Postecoglou, and the majority that I know and go to the matches with, you know, everyone, you know, loves him, and, you know, they adore him for what he delivered at the football club, and that was a trophy, which was...
Oh, I was excited about what he was going to say there. I was hoping he was about to say that Flex, despite everything that's happened, Ange Postecoglou would be able to walk down the high road whenever he wants. I think he was buy a beer ever again.
I think he was pretty much.
That's a given, isn't it? Right?
And think about when Ange Postecoglou goes back to the London, to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
He'll get a great reception. There's no, and how
even the people who wanted him to see him leave, he's delivered a European trophy.
Chris, me and Flex just guessed that you were going to say that Ange Postecoglou would come back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and get an unbelievable reception. I'm hoping that's what you're going to say, because if that's the case, and I'm sure it will be, that makes me feel happy that he bought you guys a trophy and that we'll never have to buy a beer on the high road ever again.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, 2 days after that night in Bilbao, the streets of North London outside that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium were incredible. And when he said, I want a season 3, everyone cheered. You know, everyone was behind him. And, you know, for what he delivered at Tottenham, you know, that night in Bilbao, it wasn't the greatest game, but it was about getting us over the line and about getting that trophy for us, because the trophies are way overdue. And when you think in the last 6 years, Spurs have gone through 6 permanent managers and 3 interim managers. So, you know, we needed a trophy. We've gone through so many different routes, and Ange came in. He said he was going to deliver in his second season, and I absolutely loved the fact that he delivered what he said he was always going to do.
Oh, you should see Flex's face.
He's always been fixing.
Chris has just made me just relive it all.
Yeah.
You just try and bury it till I'm just like, that didn't happen. It's just bringing me back to. And I was stuck in Bilbao for the next couple of days after, because as Chris would probably know how difficult it was to get out there. And
my heart bleeds for you, Flex. I'm gutted for you. Here's that. Chris, we are nearly a week on, aren't we? 6 days on from the big breaking news last Thursday that Daniel Levy is no longer at Tottenham Hotspur. A week on, how are you feeling about it all, and how do you feel about the future of the football club?
Well, the Lewis family are obviously Tottenham fans, and they want success. And I think they probably felt that Daniel Levy has taken Tottenham as far as he possibly can. I think it's very, very fair to say that in the 24 and a half years that he was at Spurs, we are now a very, very different football club, playing constantly in European football, just won a trophy. And it is about moving on now. There has been a lot of frustration amongst the fan base over the years, where we could have gone out and signed top class players, and we've always signed the lower quality players, which has frustrated a lot of people. And we've had a lot of managers, as I mentioned earlier, particularly win-now managers under Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. So they would have expected a lot, better player to be walking through the door. But overall, I would say that Daniel Levy has done an excellent job off the pitch. We've always wanted more on the pitch. I know every football fan wants that, but there has been a lot of frustration over the years. 2 trophies in his tenure at the football club, but it is about now the next step. It is about the Lewis family investing into the manager now. And, like Pochettino said in 2019, it's all right having a mansion, but you need the furniture to put in. And I hope that furniture is constantly delivered in transfer windows now.
Yeah, well said. That's a nice little phrase there. And lastly, Chris, briefly, Thomas Frank, are you happy with the early signs you've seen of him as Tottenham manager?
Yeah, I went out to all of the pre-season in Hong Kong, nice. South Korea, etc. And he was running around on that pitch. I've never, ever in my life seen a manager be so active and running around the pitch, and the communication. I think he's going to bring a lot to Tottenham. I'm very, very excited about him. But as I always said over the years, it's about the backing from the board. So hopefully that he will get the players in that he wants. But overall, the way he sets up so many different formations inside one game, let alone, over the course of a season. I think last season at Brentford, he played 9 different formations, and it's incredible. He's so adaptable to, how different it was under Ange last season. So, yeah, I'm very excited about it.
That must have been incredible, by the way, going to Hong Kong on the pre-season tour. I mean, Flex goes on all the United tours. It sounds incredible. What a gig, Chris, right?
Well, you've got to support your football team, haven't you?
There we go.
Through thick and thin, mate.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
If anything, when you get, doesn't matter how bad it's been, when you get to the summer to get to go away, that's the bit where you can actually forget about all the rubbish.
Worry about all
it's all sun and
it's
nice.
Good vibes.
Flex, can I just say, I rushed to get back to England because I knew that Spurs were going to win that game, and I wanted to get back for the parade. So let's finish on a high.
Be the last one you have for another 17 years, so enjoy it.
Hopefully, Chris.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we can speak to you before the next 17 years. That'd be nice. And that's Chris Cowlin from the Spurs Chat podcast. Top man, Chris. Thanks for the insight. Have a good day.
Nice one, Chris.
You're listening to The Social on TalkSport 2 with William Hill, 18+, gambleaware.org. Up next, we're doing...